Good morning. So we're going to fight our rematch of Ben Walton versus Cyrus Johnson. This is a rematch for the heavyweight title. I just had, as I admitted, the best boxing bout I've had I've had in years, including all boxing games. That heavyweight bout I just finished yesterday morning, one of the greatest of all time. And I misspoke. I talked about how the new 4th edition boxing game had the more refined charts, and that the 2.5 version of boxing had the older charts. I'm completely wrong. They're identical. So if you own the big book of this, the larger book, or you own this version, they're both, the larger book's like version 3, this is version 2.5, but the actual boxing charts have not changed between 2.5 and 4. What's changed is the career rules and some of the subtle tweaks to the rules, but the charts are identical. So I misspoke when I talked about this being the older, more explosive charts. Those were the charts 1 through 2. I'd forgotten that these charts are actually identical to the brand new book as far as the actual charts. Again, the rules have been tweaked and changed a little bit here and there. And the career mode in this is much different than the career mode in this. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that. I had misspoke. Playing out the Sullivan and battles with Marciano were a mistake. I actually looked back on those videos because I thought, how come those games were so much more explosive and we were seeing cuts and KDs? That's because I absolutely played this wrong. I forgot the bag chart and rolled just the event chart. So when you watch those Marciano Sullivan fights, which were so amazing, well, they were too aggressive. There were too many cuts, too many KD chances in those fights, not because of the rules or because those two boxers create that kind of fight, as I forgot I was supposed to be rolling the bag grade first, and if an event came up, then I went to these charts. So those last couple of videos, before yesterday's, I did perfectly right in this. And why, again, I thought this felt more refined than this is because I was rolling the event charts for every punch as opposed to the bag chart, which leads to the event charts. And there you have it. So again, if you own, whether you own the big book of this or you own the 2.5 book, they are exactly the same boxing engine. What's changed is again, whether there's 3 referees in this, whether this uses a career mode and money, or whether this goes down to just a one simple judge. The career mode is simplified, but the boxing game is identical. So I literally thought, man, this fight was remarkable. But so were the Sullivan and Marciano fights, but those were brutal. I was like, my God, I forgot how brutal the original rules were. And then this morning, I thought I'm going to rematch in this and see how, what it's like. And then I realized the exact same game. I had been forgetting to roll the bag chart, and so the Marciano Sullivan fights were straight up on the more the event charts, which shows you can't break the game. It played perfectly, but we ended up getting TKOs. We ended up getting a higher level of TKOs than we would have gotten if we played the rules correctly. So I want to make that point. The Sullivan Marciano fights, as great as they were played wrong, and it led to more TKO points, which led to both. So let's put it this way: Sullivan won both those heavyweight fights, and he shouldn't have. Because there is no way Sullivan would have scored that many TKO points against Marciano had the bag grade been rolled before the event charts. So I kind of feel bad. Sullivan has beaten Marciano twice, and technically he was cheating. There would have been, maybe he had he had something on his gloves or something. So I've been tempted to rematch, expunge the losses. So Marciano's 1 and 2, and the 2 losses he knocked out. What's his name? Deontay Wilder got screwed too because Marciano rolled that 6 and then knocked him out. So that knockout would not have happened as easily. It could have still happened, but just wouldn't have been that easy. but Marciano's 2 losses were by TKO in the 11th and the 13th round, and there is no way that Sullivan would have scored that many TKO points had I done this properly. So shame on me. I was not paying attention to the charts when I played my own game, which is so bizarre, because when I flipped this open to look at the new boxing game, again, our bag charts here and our events charts here. What threw me was our bag charts here, our event charts here. So in the new book, you won't make that mistake, because the bag chart's here and it leads to the event chart, which leads to the knockdown or knockout. So everything is, again, I talked about the aesthetic in this book just being better layout. Well, there's an example of it being the perfect tabletop layout. And so you don't make that mistake. Well, in the older game, because the slugger versus slugger charts here, this I literally was not paying attention to as being the, and I would go right over here to start rolling the charts. So long story short, this is what happens when you haven't played a game in a long time. I've been playing Boxing Time Bouts, which is a completely different engine. And when I came back to play these, I was not paying attention. So unfortunately, Marciano does not have a win, a knockout win against Deontay, nor does Sullivan have 2 wins against Marciano. I'll probably let it all stand as, hey, I dropped the dice and it still went down. Marciano had the same chance to use these charts as Sullivan had. So it wasn't like Marciano was rolling here and Sullivan was here. They were both rolling here. So it still was a fair fight. They were both getting the same, but I did it wrong. So it shouldn't have as many cuts and knockdowns as they'd had. Knockdown chances, because I was skipping the entire action chart. All right, that's enough of that. So this time I will play version 2.5 to prove we want a rematch anyway, because it was such a brilliant fight between these two. But I thought this morning I'll do the rematch in 2.5 because it's so brutal. And then it turns out I did it wrong. So I just wanted to clarify that. So for those who are following along, the 2.5 rules are identical to, the 2.5 charts are identical to 4E, but the rules are slightly changed. So anyway, long story short, it's going to be heavyweight champion of the world, Ben Walton, who is now 22-1, versus Johnson, who had his first loss of his career in the last fight against Walton. He's 14-1. This will be the heavyweight title fight. This is title defense number 3 for Walton, I believe. Yep. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Yeah, I can't believe I did that wrong. Anyway, and I also got my dice out of my box here. Red corner, blue corner, and then this is used for event checks. So I'll roll all 3 dice. All right, so Walton, we know the bag grade. Let's do this boxer versus. Now maybe Cyrus should be a boxer in this one. So let's just look at boxer versus slugger. So Walton would be a slugger A versus his defensive C. He would be an A. But if I do boxer C versus his defensive C, he would be a B. So they're going to be exactly the same. So AB won't change if I do boxer slugger or slugger slugger. So that's interesting. And then the TKO, of course, is 10 for Walton, and it is 8 for Johnson. Now, that doesn't mean they won't rack up their TKO points. Clearly, they can, but so that's so crazy. If I had not played that fight last night or yesterday morning using this version, and it got me thinking, wow, those Sullivan, Rocky Marciano fights were brutal. It must have been version 1 of the rules, version 2 of the rules. I was thinking 2.5 were those old rules. And by the way, the original version 1 through 2 were pretty brutal. There were actually KDs and cuts on the boxing action grade. And then what I did was say, wait, this is too much. I need to kind of have a event that leads to these more advanced, these more deliberate, dangerous punches and things. And so, but the original rules, the bag chart basically looked a lot like this chart, right? The boxing action chart with KOs and KDs on this chart. And then I realized it wasn't enough room for there to be long-term there wasn't enough wiggle room there for there to be, there weren't enough results on one chart to keep the boxing refined. So I had to kind of create 2 charts. And I had forgotten that this also is the same, but I was playing it wrong. So anyway, I'll shut up now. But I literally looked back on those videos and went, oh my God, I was rolling directly off the event charts. So this is what happens when you're not paying attention. It's what happens when you haven't played your games in a while. And it's the difference between the layout that is clear and concise versus having the actual charts, boxing charts, on 2 different pages. It just messed me up. All right, long story short, Walton in a title defense number 3. This is rematch, so this is going to be Walton v. Johnson 2. And it was yesterday, playing the game rules as written, correct, with 4, was one of the single best boxing matches I've had in years. And by far the best boxing match I've had in boxing time in a while. But all of my tabletop boxing games, 5-card boxing, Let's Rumble, 4 Dice, Title Bout, Glory Days, it is, again, I've said it before, my boxing game is my favorite game. So when I see that kind of fight, it's exactly the perfect situation for me. It's a perfect feel for me. So Walton is 22-1, having just beaten Johnson. We're in a rematch. Johnson is 14-1 now that he lost, and there would have been so much good money here on the table. They might have offered Walton 75% of the purse to give Johnson a rematch. So you can imagine Walton in the first fight was probably splitting the purse 60-40 with Johnson, and to get a rematch, because Walton could say to him, nah, you had your chance, kid. I'm moving on to bigger prizes. But because it was such a great fight, the money is too good. Walton says, okay, give me 65-35, give me 70-30, and I'll do it. And so you can imagine this fight is going to earn Walton a ton of money, as is it will Johnson as well. But if I was using a money system like that, Walton would be, for a rematch, would demand a larger percentage of the purse, right? He's already, as champion, going to get a bigger percentage of the purse, but you can imagine, it's like, why would I risk my title to this kid again if he ain't going to pay me more money? All right, here we go. It's going to be 2 points. So Walton, right out of the gate, is going to score 2 in the first minute, and we're going to get an event for Johnson. Johnson with an event check of 2. That event check of 2 on B is no points. So Johnson pushed into the corner, and he's losing 2-1. All right, 3 points. Walton bashes him good with 3 versus another event of 5. This event is 3 points. Or excuse me, 6 is event, and 5 is a cut. So Johnson draws a TKO point against Walton with a cut. So he's open to cut over Walton's eye, but Walton is beating him soundly in his first round. Wow, we're going to get a knockdown right there. It's a KO. So event, and it's a 6. It's going to be a KO chance. So Walton is going to drop. Incredible. And we don't use this 3. We're going to use this to roll for the knockdown. So again, we know that Johnson's chin, our desires a B. Power is B versus B. It's going to be a 6. I need to roll a 6 to knock down. Or excuse me, we're on the knockout chart. This was a direct knockout. His chin is an A. So 1. If I roll a 1, the fight is over. Oh no, he's going to get up on a count of 6. But he does not get his final turn, and because Walton scored an actual KO chance, he wins that round 10-8. He brutalized Johnson, and by the way, that's a TKO against Johnson. Wow. So Walton, early in this fight, doing the game properly, he scores a KO chance against Johnson in the first round, and Johnson cuts. Wow. So Walton automatically, that's the best round Walton's had in counting the last fight. So Walton might be going for an early victory this time. 4. It's going to be 2 points again for Walton versus 3. That's going to be 1 point for Johnson. And right now, Walton winning easy. Uh-oh. Walton is drilled 1. It's going to be an event of 0. So neither boxer scores. They end up in the corner clinching. Nobody scores there in the second minute. 3 more points for Walton versus 1, and that's going to be a 10-9 round for Walton as he wins 5 points to 2. Round 3 underway. 3 points for Walton, and it's going to be 1 point for Johnson. Walton is beating the hell out of him. It's going to be 0 points for Walton and 1 point. Meanwhile, Walton, blanked in the second minute, is still winning this round. Neither boxer scores a point, so they're punched themselves out. They're clinching, they're holding mid-ring, and Walton's going to win that round on points 10-9. So Walton is winning this 30 to 25. No. 1, 2, 3, 4. 30 to 26. Walton is winning this fight. Walton gets nothing in the first minute, and finally we're going to see 2 points by Johnson. He's definitely not in good shape for this fight. Johnson looks like he might be doubting himself a little bit in this fight. 3 is going to be 2 points for Walton. Johnson, who's doubting himself, scores nothing. And now it's tied. Final minute. Let's see who wins this round. It's going to be 2 for Walton and none for Johnson. Walton's going to win the 4th straight round. He's winning this 40 to 27-35. 40 to 35. Round 5 underway. Walton dominating. No points for Walton early. We're going to get 3 points for Johnson. Finally, Johnson gets off his stool in the 5th round, starts fighting. Neither boxer in the 2nd score. And in the 3rd minute, neither boxer scores in the 3rd. So Johnson punched himself out, but he got enough to win the round. Finally, Johnson in round 5 wins his 1st round. And Walton, though, dominating this fight overall. 2 for each boxer, so they're tied 2-2 in the 1st minute. 2nd minute, 2-0 as Walton is dominating. And it's going to be 3-3, but a TKO point scored against Johnson as he scored 7 points. He wins that round 10-9. And Walton dominating. Round 7. It's going to be 3 versus 2 again as Walton continues to score 3-point minutes. So Walton's actually improved this fight as he's doing so much better. Winning 3-2 in the round 3. 3rd minute. 3rd minute is going to be a 2-point versus a event. 3 on the event charts is 1 point and ain't going to be enough as Walton is going to win 5-3 in round 7. Round 8 underway. 4 is going to be 2-2. So they tie in the 1st minute of round 8. 2nd minute of round 8, clinching and holding. Nobody scores. And the 3rd minute of round 8 is going to be 2-3. Oh, and look at this. Johnson steals round 8 by 1 point, 4-5. He wins that round at 10-9 must. Round 9, this will be Johnson's final round before he fatigues. So Johnson needs to make the best of this. Oh, and it's going to be a 4. That's a cut against Johnson. So we're going to see a TKO point show up against Johnson. Johnson scores nothing. So Walton has now cut Johnson. Oh, we're going to get no points in the 2nd minute, and we're going to get 1. It's going to be no points. So Johnson, covering up in the corner, has not scored a point this round. Oh, and look at this. It's going to be, guess what? Johnson wins the round 1-0. So he wins the round 10-9, but he is cut. So we've got a 3 TKO points against Johnson, 1 against Walton. So you can see how the TKO, the brutality of those Sullivan-Marciano fights were just tons of TKO points, tons of KD chances, because I was using this chart when I should have been using this one, then this one. So I played my game wrong. All right, we've got some fatigue set in, and we know from the last fight that Johnson will be a C, and Walton will remain an A. And then once Walton fatigues, it's going to be BB again. So this is the last round before Walton fatigues. 3 points for John. Oh, wait, no, C. He gets 2. He's on the C charts. He scores 2. No points for Walton. No points. So this 10th round is a lot of clinching. And we're going to see 2, 4, and 1. Guess what? Johnson wins 3 rounds in a row. And now we know that they're both Bs from here out as Walton fatigues and all his scores come down. That makes them both Bs. From here on out, so Walton won the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the first 7 rounds and has lost 4 rounds in a row. So, folks, we're looking at another very close fight as Johnson has literally taken the last 3 rounds by a total of 1, 2, 3 points. So he's won the last 3 rounds by 3 total points. Incredible. Cyrus Johnson and Ben Walton This would go down as the second greatest heavyweight fight of the century, and it involves the same two guys, and that's the way it should be. It's going to be no points for Walton, 3 points for Johnson, as Johnson nails him with a lot of action. It's going to be a knocked. Oh, it's an actual KO chance right there. We're going to get a KO chance, which means Johnson's second minute is blanked. But more importantly, we're looking at B. So if I roll a 1 or a 2, Walton will win at a KO. No, he's up on a 9 count. Johnson up on a 9 count, barely to his feet, and the champ gets to roll the third minute alone. And he's going to score another 2 points. The champ is going to win this. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. Third minute. We're on the third minute now. Second minute, he did not get to roll. So the third minute, he does get to roll. He just didn't get his second minute. And his third minute is going to score him 1 point. The KO actually occurred, so it's going to be a 10-8 round on behalf of Walton and a TKO point against Johnson. So Johnson has 4 TKO points against him this fight, and he's been knocked down in the 11th round. So twice Walton has actually knocked Johnson down, and he's gotten up both times. So Johnson is woozy, getting up on the 9th count. Round 12 underway. It's going to be no point for either boxer. I can imagine this why. Johnson is staying away from him, covering up, grabbing when he gets close. Johnson's not letting him score, but because of that, Johnson's also not scoring. Second minute, we're going to get an event into the corner, and Johnson's going to score a point in the corner. He's leading this round, folks. Oh my God, and he somehow fights beautifully in the second. Nothing occurs in the third minute, and guess what? Johnson steals round 12. What a battle. Johnson's won 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the last 5 rounds. However, Johnson was knocked down in round 11, and that broke up his string. Johnson can still win this fight on points, folks. Unbelievable heavyweight fight. It's going to be 1 point for Walton, 0 for Johnson. Second minute, it's going to be 2 points to an event of no points. So trapped in the corner is Johnson. Can Walton score a big punch? No, Walton is killed, is snuffed out by a defensive fight out of the corner. But Walton will get that round, 10-9. So Walton wins straight up by 1 point in round 13. Round 14 and 15, folks, this is going to go the distance. Oh, no, it may not. 4, it's another cut. So Walton cuts Johnson for his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th TKO point. But Johnson scores 3 punch points. Johnson's winning round 14. Punched out. Neither boxer scores in the second minute of round 14. And it's going to be 2-1. And guess what? Johnson is going to win round 14, 10-9. Folks, this is going to come down to another count. The final round. Walton really wants to knock him out because I think this fight might be won by Johnson on the judges card. No! Walton shut out. Johnson scores a point. Second minute. Walton losing this round. And 5, it's going to be another KD chance. So this is an actual KD chance. Right? The event and a KD. No, it's a cut. Excuse me. On the B chart. Excuse me. Cut. See, I got to pay attention. That's another TKO point. And 2, no points scored for Johnson. Final minute, folks. Johnson is winning this round by 1 point. Walton needs to score multiple points to win this final minute and win the round. No, Walton is shut out in the final. He's going to lose round 15. Look at Johnson. Johnson comes back and wins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the final 8 rounds. Johnson wins. Folks, we got to tally the judges' card again. So let's see here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 off 150. It's 143 again. That's what he scored in the last fight. Oh no, I think it's going to be the exact same result. Oh my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, 143 to 140. And Walton holds the belt with a second. So it's going to be a Walton win. Points to retain his heavyweight title. Walton now is 23, 15 KOs, 1 loss, no draws. And Johnson loses his rematch battle. This one, he actually scored 1 less point than he did the first fight. Walton had he had 1 TKO point in the first round because he drew a cut early. And then Walton did not have a TKO point registered against him in the remainder of the fight. Johnson was bullied for the first half of this fight. However, Johnson came back and won every round pretty much except a KO. In a knockdown. He was actually knocked down in the 11th, and that 2 points almost become the difference here as he wins 143 to 140. Judge 1 likes Walton, the champion. Johnson now is 14 with 11 KOs, now 2 losses, both of them to the champ. Walton retains his heavyweight title in a rematch against Johnson. This was another brilliant fight that went the distance. Johnson never scored a knockdown chance, never scored a knockout chance. Walton had 2 KO chances in the fight, but didn't get. He got up on both. Both boxers were cut. Walton was cut early, never cut again, and Walton late in the fight opened up a cut on Johnson's forehead or on his eye, and then he opened that cut up again in the 2nd minute of round 15. And at this point, the wear and tear on Johnson was beginning to show. And 143 to 140 is today's fight. Today is February 2nd. And again, I need to go back. I really would like to go back and refight the Marciano-Sullivan fights because I don't believe Marciano would have lost those fights had I been playing it correctly. But I made a mistake using the old rules and was rolling directly off this chart. It should have been rolled off this chart first, then this chart. And, mistakes happen. Anyway, the first fight, Walton, this one was 143 to 141. Walton won. However, the TKO points were much more interesting. Johnson had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against him. In today's fight, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 against him. Walton, though, had 1 against him in the rematch. In the first fight yesterday morning, Walton suffered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 TKO points. And he was actually knocked down in the 9th round, was Walton. And I don't believe... wow, and Walton never had a knockout. So Walton did not knock Johnson down in the first fight. Johnson did knock down Walton in the first fight, and he got up, went on to win the fight. Here, Johnson not only doesn't do much damage to him, Walton scores 2 KOs chances in this fight. Cuts him 3 times. He's cut here in the 9th, cut again in the 14th, and cut again in the 15th. Much fascinating. But again, these two are very well matched. Walton and Johnson, these will go down as 2 of the greatest fights I've ever had in tabletop boxing. Unbelievable. But Walton is the undisputed heavyweight champion in my boxing time playtest career boxers. He is now 23 and 1 with 15 KOs, and he has beaten soundly the number 2 man, Johnson, twice. Not soundly. They were both, we're talking a total, between the 2 fights, a total of 4 points decided both these fights. That is incredibly good. So there you have it, folks. And by the way, that was done with version 2.5, which turns out the actual boxing charts are identical in both books. I was just playing this wrong in the Sullivan Marciano fights. I don't know where my brain was at, but it was dysfunctional. Playing this because the layout is better, no problem. And unfortunately, I was thinking that's because these were the older rules, and they're not. So for those who have 2.5, you're good to go. It's just a different career mode. And there it is. Cyrus Johnson now, I think, is going to fall out of the number 2 spot. He's lost both fights. He would lose his chance, I think, at getting the belt from here on out. We've still got some pretty mighty challengers. And Parks, the only man to have beaten Walton. I need to fight Parks through some of these guys and maybe earn Parks a chance. He was number 3 in my rankings, right behind Cyrus Johnson. So Cyrus has had a chance, got an immediate rematch. He has been beaten twice. It only goes to show Leon Parks should move up for a chance. Now remember, Walton lost his only fight in his history was to Parks, but then he redeemed himself against Parks with a knockout later in his career. So I don't know. He might not want to give Parks a shot at the title. He might want to give Usyk of Russia a chance, or he might want to give Adkins a chance. So meanwhile, Cyrus, I think, will have dropped down at least out of the top two as our heavyweight champ in Boxing Time. In the big country, my heavyweight champ is Walton. In my boxing universe that I play using real fighters from all kinds of different games, Sullivan is still my heavyweight champ with 9 title defenses. The problem is his title defense against Sullivan and his title defense against Marciano and his second title defense rematch against Marciano were done wrong. So I kind of feel like there should be a Marciano-Sullivan rematch 3, a Marciano-Sullivan 3, and give Marciano a fair shake using the game correctly, because I don't believe Sullivan would have beaten Marciano in those 2 fights. And it would be amazing if he does, because it would make Sullivan the single best heavyweight champ I've ever had in my history of tabletop boxing if he beats Marciano a 3rd time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.